Okay, hopefully things are. I can see frame rate low but no issues, resolution low but no issues, bitrate and everything. Oh, that's so good. Okay, who wants to be first? Who wants to be first? Claim your positions. The first to type, it is the one that we get to review. The first very map. I opened year 0 because it's like I just want to have like something in the back. I'm gonna send the map in a few minutes. Me, Plixian. Okay, Crystal Cavern. He said it. No, he said the first. Okay. Plixian, you said me instead of the map name. You forgot that I don't know all of the map names. I wish I did. I used to be so good at this, but now I suck. Okay, first thing, I think that Miyavis forgot to generate the static shadows. No, he had them, but you can't see them for some reason. Okay, yeah, that's my bad. Okay, yeah. Doing review. Lots of people find this to be very confusing. I think it's okay. I think it gives like an accent to the entire center, but people find this very confusing. They think that it is in the high ground because it is the same like tonality. Because we over the years we have taught like people that they can rely on us to like have every single level be like of a different color. So whatever we do like stuff like this now, it confuses people. I think that that's more of a good thing than a bad one, but I let I will let like Miyavis decide. Um, when it comes to the natural first third, the triangular is like a very solid one. This is one of the curiosities that we have seen like nowadays with like StarCraft map in general. It is often that people would like just add like two third, like an optional third and whatnot, just in order to like give players more variety. This map works without that, and I think that is like something that should be like kind of praised on because it works like well. It still has the issues. For example, na 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 stuff like this. Oh my god, no! The siege tanks, stuff like this. Because this ramp is like rather tight, a Zerg army can have like an actual like hard time breaking in this thing. So it can be like tricky to do something like this and add like a high ground in here or block it somehow. Stuff like that. Mineral lines. This is fine. This mineral patch is fine. This is fine. This mineral line is like classic Miyavis that is like a, kind of a mess, but it still kind of works. This is fine. In overall, this is like one of the other judges had like different issues concerning the map than I do. For example, this area kind of it lacks like overlord little pod for certain players to hide their overlords in. This little area could also be like used as an overlord pod, something like that, but prettier. Yeah, something like that, but prettier. The issue is that then you have like players be this like no that it works fine. I wanted to say that players like could hide banelings behind this stuff, but they won't. They won't. Also, these little thingies, I'm not sure if they have like occlusion. I haven't actually checked this. I don't know if they have like occlusion enabled wherever a units are below them, so they hide themselves. I haven't checked that. I'm sorry. This is a nice forward. It's rather open, like most of the map. This is one of the things that I like. It's like it has its own flavor to it. People don't like it, but I do. Okay, it is like all right. Maybe this is a mess. No, just the mineral lines. Okay, This is why. Oh yeah. If you want me to like mute sounds, I won't. I actually like kind of like the sounds of the basic guys. What I can do though is to reduce the sound in the background in OBS, something like that maybe. Hopefully it works better now. Oh, also it also helped like there are like doodads that have like randomly loud sounds, so having the sound enabled allows you to catch like any kind of those doodads. And that way you don't disturb too much the players. These kind of bases, I like them. I like implement them a lot. Like the corner wars with like 2 ramps and whatnot. I think they work like rather well. But I always think that one of the ramps need to be tighter than the other one. That way you are giving one of the sides, one of the expansion patterns, like a slight preference. And I think that overall works better. For example, in this case, for this map, it would be better if this ramp were like slightly tighter. Not like that, I think. No, yeah, it will have to use like rocks or something like that in order to allow it for it to work better. Like a 4 versus 4 rocks in the corner in order to allow for example, you guys recall that game in Eris? Probably not. There was a very solid game in Eris, the only one that it ever happened, and there was a scene with like Scarlet had like taken one of the corner bases in Eris, and it just planted like an ultralisk in the entrance, and that ultralisk was like holding like a bunch of army because it had some queens in the back. Stuff like that is like some PogChamp level plays that allow like players to like express or like create some very high moments. So that kind of choke and stuff like that allows for that kind of moment, and those are like some very esport moments again to like showcase, and they were like, oh my god, StarCraft is so cool for stuff like this. So try to like allow that kind of moments to happen now and then. And usually those kind of moments as well happen only in like very tight chokes. So stuff like this. Or whatever have, for example, people like go and burrow some veins in here and whatnot. Yeah. When it comes to the center itself, the openness is like great, but I think it's like too overall open. What I will do is like something akin to reduce the size of the bridges, these little areas, in order to generate some more like superhuman like moments and choke. I don't think that is strictly necessary, like at all, but that is like kind of the flavor changes that I personally will do to the map. When it comes to, for example, quality assurance and whatnot, all of this area might probably need to add some doodads in here in order to allow, for example, to players to more clearly see which areas can Reapers jump around in. I mean it more than just this. For example, people could see that this area kind of looks where Reapers could jump in, but they don't. So it is like more to that. There also is the... there it is. There is also this issue with the cliff lines themselves. They tend to have these little areas where Reapers can't jump around wherever you do like stuff like that. So I will block all of this area and instead just try to leave this area for Reapers to jump around and make it like slightly clearer with, like, for example, some decals around top and here, or maybe other decals around here and just leaving this area open without decals in order to showcase that capability. One of the things that I haven't done, checking this meme. As you can see, this is one of the things that I was kind of blech about the map, because even when it's like this is something that has been happening like in the last couple of years. Like, we have been pushing the ramp closer to the creep in order to allow for CBC players to like actually not die to like link floods and other dumb stuff like that. But the problem is that whenever we do stuff like that, then players get like used to them and then whine when we take them away. It is kind of a basic like psychology of production of goods or stuff like that. Whenever you give something to somebody, you can't you just basically can't take it away after that. So you need to plan whatever you are gonna give, like kind of small little gift to people. So in order to fix this, something like that, be sure that siege tanks can reach it, and if they can't, well, then you kind of move them a little bit in order to make it fit. Yeah, we can move the ramp. Do you see this? This is spooky, kind of like ghost-like. So we do kind of. Oh my god, we do kind of this, and then it's like less spooky. Then you could do. Oh no, you can't because it breaks the ramp, right? I remember that it used to break the ramp, or maybe it doesn't anymore. Yeah, something like that. Okay. Then you can add like some cool doodads there in the bottom, like one of those like like kind of nice looking Shakuras trees. Where? All right, we have like a bunch of doodads now. Okay, these ones. Then you do kind of like that. No, not these ones. These ones look like bad. These ones. These are like the cool ones, the cool trees from Shikuri. Okay, something like that. With more trees and more like everything, just like Avix does it, okay? Just suffer through it. Already fixed. Okay, the ramp, yeah. The thing in the natural. Yeah, that was my... Hold on, other pen you picked from plant pin so far. X column do that. Yeah, those like kind of work, but I'm not sure if it will work with that. You could, for example, replace all of these huge doodads with like X columns, like all of them, and I think it will kind of look interesting. Especially with like the straight lines of the cliff lines. Here is another little meme that we can fix. That. Yeah, I think that's it for like Crystal Cavern. Like the layout itself is like very solid. It is one of the maps that I enjoy the most. Yeah, more Overlord bot, please. Otherwise, like Terran will send all of their marines in the early game to like those like nasty ass barracks openings and like send like just a couple marines and kill all of the Overlords in the early game. So please, no. Okay, who was the next one that said after Mavis? New Repugnancy. Where was it? Okay, here it is. Overlord parts are fixed too. Remember what to put that 200 instantly having like 20 out. Okay, first thing to check, obviously. Can you see across this doodad clump? If you can, then you shouldn't. If you can't, then Sanklun deserves like a prize for like not being awful human being for the players. You probably can. Oh, what was that? Hopefully you guys can see this still. Otherwise, I will need to like change the resolution and everything, which is probably the case because I'm setting the stream in a peak. The Discord overlay now has text chat. What I was talking about? Oh yeah, I will need to change the resolution of the game just in order to make it like windowed version instead of full screen. Everything is loading a little bit. Okay. Full screen window. Okay, now the stream should pick it up. And yep, rip Sankler. The dreams are dead. Remember to add like line of sight blockers whenever you do stuff like this. Because again, stuff like this needs to be like instantly clear for players that if units can see across it or if they can't. And line of sight blockers, use the invisible ones. If you really need them, use the invisible ones. Those exist. No, do that. Okay. Use these ones. Like that. Then you take them and copy paste them and you place them like that. And then you somehow need to like hide these doodads and make sure that no units can actually touch the line of sight blockers. Otherwise, they all become invisible again, and you need to like make sure that that doesn't happen. When it comes to this map, I miss the hat. I really do. It used to be like so. It used to look so good. This entire area. This is one of the maps that I was kind of meh about. Like, it is not awful, but it's also like not like a new sunshine, like or an Ibex or something like that. I'm sorry, Saglet, but yeah, you gotta improve, mate. Stuff like these cliff lines, it is just detailed, like all over the place. Out of this area, for example, having Terran like destroy this rock and move like an army across in here, and then just shell the heck out of this fort of this optional fort base from the high ground. It is like not a particularly like wholesome meme, if you allow me the expression. So what would I do? This is like so taking like an axe to the map, I feel. Okay, something like that. Make it low ground instead of it being in high ground. It is. I don't want to say that it's a detail, but it's like stuff like that. You can ignore the little high grounds. Stuff like that. Could add some rocks in here, or could add a high ground in here in order to subdivide this attack path. This is something that used to happen like a lot with Blizzard maps. That you will have like 2 ramps or 2 attack paths, and wherever a player, for example, attack from this one, they could like skirt units. If this area didn't exist, they would skirt units from this attack path into like this other one, and then you will have like an entire huge spread of units from coming from like 2 attack paths. So wherever you attack this area, then this other chunk of the army comes from the back and just shares you apart. So yeah, add a small little high ground if you can. Whatever that kind of stuff happens, like not particularly now, but something like that. That is my feedback for that area. When it comes to this is a very good usage of the that's in here. It is very spooky. It has some very spooky areas, the map, because this area will be like hell for like, for example, a Protoss player trying to attack upwards, or like a Zerg player trying to attack upwards towards a Terran. It's always the Terrans, okay? You know this, Tank Leon. It is always the Terran with the freaking siege tanks. There we go. Feels good, man. Is it possible to preview Fog of War in the editor? Preview Fog of War. Oh, yes, there is an option. But I don't remember where it is. It doesn't matter. Yeah, it is somewhere here. Look, game settings, camera. I know it is in here because years ago I activated and then I didn't know how to deactivate it. Terrain, vision, anyhow. Main bases, well positioned. This little pod, in my opinion, should basically always be placed forward instead of the back. Either one have their own like alternative / options. These ones at the back are like more resilient. For example, Terran players lived in a barracks and killing the Overlord. Same with like now that Protoss players don't have the mothership core, we don't need to worry about much. So these ones can become like kind of overpowered against Protoss players, especially from the stairs perspective. Meanwhile, these ones tend to be like more vulnerable to Terran, like lived in a single barracks and killing the Overlord and whatnot. So I prefer these ones because they tend to have like higher counterplay from the Terran player over these ones, and also these ones like kind of, it doesn't really happen nowadays as much, but they tend to promote Liberator Arrest a little bit too much. Though at the same time there is still a double-edged sword because they also allow a little bit of muta harassment, but not that much because mutas are basically dead nowadays, meta game wise. At least in how they used to be played comparatively. Always the little thing with the geysers. Try to have like at least 3 geysers be visible to people, like something like this instead. Then you are like releasing a little bit of a space in here. Remember that the area, for example, from the natural base to the main, this little line should basically always be empty, because players tend to bounce their camera around a considerable amount between these 2 areas. So wherever you have like something that is using space in this area from the map itself, such as the base being geyser, it adds a little bit of clutter to like what player sees. That's not, it is, what I'm talking is like not the end of the world by any margin of imagination. But it's something that it is kind of better if you do it this way. In that same fashion, if you add, for example, the mineral line and you make it like kind of like this one but inverted, it tends to like, I don't want to say like, I forgot how to rotate with the default hotkeys. Nope, it wasn't that one. No, it wasn't that one. No. Okay, doesn't matter. Wherever you have like these mineral lines, well, here we have another one. Something like this. It tends to be like slightly better. Like that. It allows, for example, for third players. Like this is something that probably Meavis and a bunch of other guys in the stream like already know, because I've spoken like a huge amount about this. Wherever an overlord like tends to park in this area between the third and the main base, they get sent towards the main base. And if a Zerg like can't explore, can't see like both geysers or at least 3 best being geysers at the same time, or kind of ish, and know what the hell the enemy is doing, they can like just outright die to like Alins or any dumb bush like that. Usage of space. This is an area where I kind of got like a remembrance from our last thing with the Team Liquid map contestant, wherever like a bunch of maps got like disqualified from like those small little Terran pushes. Show ground. Okay, this is not very good. I just hit the green pathing. Oh boy. Well, we'll have to roll with it. Anyhow, I kinda reminded me of that area, and that's not a cool meme. This base like should 100% be kind of like a half base and not just be a full base. It's using like way too much space, but we can't do that. That's a problem, I think. All of this area should be red instead of like that. That's it. There you go. I know that the footprints of the doodads are making it impossible, but even then. General other feedback, probably, I'm not sure. I'm actually not sure. It's like an alright map. I think it's kind of I don't want to say that it is better, but the center is like slightly more interesting than, for example, Mech Depot, I think. Mostly because there is like this single central pathway, and it has these two areas. And Mech Depot would tend to be like, the pathways in Mech Depot tend to be like considerably skinnier and longer. Yeah, I think that's basically it. There is like not much else to say. I'm trying to think, and I really want to show again the pathing. Why God will do this to me? Oh, it was because I did that. Okay, let's remove all of them. There we go. See, now we are loved by God again. Okay, no. No. Well, okay, doesn't matter. We're still like renegade from the light of God. Inshallah. Anyhow, I think that's it for New Repugnancy. There is like not much gameplay wise because it's like kind of a standardish macro map. So even then, there is like not much that I can mention. When it comes to, for example, the third base, it is a good distance solids from the natural, and the optional third is also a good distance from the natural. This entire area is kind of icky because of tank and like Terrans abusing this high ground in order to take down the optional third. But that's something that you can deal with, I think, especially because you have this one. So people can get away with doing that. This little cliff line should be like kind of more less straight. I know that it will like screw it up the best big guys there, but no. Anyhow, it should be less straight, but I don't know how to fix it. But it should be less straight, okay? Just a little bit. Siege tank, best tank. Correct. Sometimes for me it doesn't want to show mesh, so I just come out or put something. Yeah, no. Okay. When it comes to this, Baliki, what map did you want me to review? I'll try to check. Baliki, quality is very nice. I must send the map in a few minutes. Cyber Forest. I think it was in the standard category, right? There we go. Oh, that is private. Okay, this guy needs a top hat. Correct. It really did. Oh, yes. I'm sure you can hear it now, right? This is exactly the kind of stuff that I mean. Let me increase the volume so you are. This is exactly the kind of meme that I mean whenever the reason why I have like sound disabled. Monka. Okay. Mineral lines instantly. You fucked up, my dude. You fucked up. Now, this is how real men do it. Like that. There we go. The entire difference that this generates is something that it creates like a small extra little pocket for players to micro their profs around. Or like water. Wherever they get like, for example, a Rust with like a 1312 or some other dumb like Aldean or whatever, they can like worker stack and micro against it. But wherever that other mineral line setup is placed inside of the main, it generates problems because players only have one instead of the standard two. So that makes them kind of all-ins or attacks like just slightly bit stronger. And that can be like problematic in certain situations. I don't know which situations, but it can be certainly problematic when that happens. Okay, something like that maybe because you have the two Bespin geysers hidden towards the inner side of the main and natural bases. So then you expose the two extra Bespin geysers in the main to explode to explosions. That will be interesting. To overlords. When it comes to this, I always remember that when it comes to, for example, border art and whatnot, I always remember that the camera can see further than this little blue line, especially when players are like doing whatever they are like cast, and players are like observing the observers in, for example, WCS or GSL. They always the camera looks like farther, and all of this area could have been used by aesthetic extra and make it the map prettier. So all of this area would look like hella ugly if the camera were to like pan around to the top. So that's something that you should fix around. I also said that you made like some sick little trees. You could use those new little trees mixed with these ones, with these old ones, and make this entire area like far prettier. What else? I like the audio, but in game there is no audio there. Yeah, no, that's because in the map itself, I just actually did like quality assurance wherever I upload this to the Team Blue Map contest like thing. So I just disabled the sound. So I got your back, fam. Cliff lines in here, straight cliffs. This is like so aesthetic level stuff, but it is. I want to say that it's important, but it really isn't. But it is important to my soul, okay? So if you want to have like a happy Cantu Danielle, well, there you go. You make like on straight cliffs lines for the natural. You know what they should be doing? They should have like a Christmas tree, the Semo Christmas tree. Meavis probably has some screenshots or Sanglun of the little Christmas tree in Frost, so they should have like their own little Christmas tree celebrating Christmas in there. This is a problem, but it can be easily fixed. Done. Okay, when it comes to gameplay, let's first check the. If I recall correctly, this wasn't a problem here. Yep, the natural ramp is like working fine. What indeed was a problem was this meme. Monka. It was so close. I was like kind of it shouldn't be, this map probably shouldn't be here in the finalist because this is like very spooky to me. But the other judges said like with their scoring said like, no, we don't think it's that much of an issue. And I'm like, fuck you. So yeah, in order to fix this, add a little high ground in here. Then it won't become like so much of a problem. This is like some serious stuff to me though. Like I'm really like irked by this. When it comes to this, night position of the Overlord pod. This one is a tricky because it is kind of a trap for certain players. Whatever Terran places or Protoss places like an Overlord or an Stalker or a Marine in here will get vision, and then other things can kill it. But that's really not too much of a problem. Issues with this, I will personally move this ramp like a little bit back for the same stuff that I have done. I have said in like previous feedback thingies, because Terrans love to abuse their tanks. Okay, they really love to do it. So sieging in this area will like shell the heck out of everything that is in here. It wasn't per se a problem, for example, like Habitation Station, but Habitation Station was kind of extreme on this because they had like the little ramp. But this is still like spooky in general, and it is something that Terrans do it they like to abuse it, and that way they can get like a slightly better like win rate, or at least a balanced one, because they sometimes get nerfed a little bit too much. But it can be spooky some. This usage of the little doodads is actually like pretty alright. I will disagree if they were like if they were done so in high ground. I would disagree if it were because of this. It uses like ever slightly more space, and not only like physical space but visual space. So good usage of the little loggrams in here. When it comes to this, I like the central diagonal rocks. I always prefer to instead have like the classic 2x6 rock that, for example, it exists in Dreamcatcher, the ones that I suggested to teammate to use. Stuff like this, and block these ones, because it foments, like it creates a funnel in the center and players like interact more. But that's not the end of the world. It can be like this too, and it will work like just fine. When it comes to this area really probably needs to be done like more open. It kind of really needs it, this area, because you are funneling players away from the very center, right? But you are funneling into an area where that isn't like open enough in order to deal with the huge or biggish mid-game armies that will like try to get around this place. So try to increase the size of the ramps a little bit, probably. Try to gain like as much possible playable area, I will think. Add some little high ground in here in order to allow. This is a lot of feedback though. I'm not. It is like understandable. It is like understandable feedback, but even though it is like a considerable amount of changes, especially from a gameplay perspective. Yeah, and if I recall correctly, Baliki, you wanted to like send a map like now. You wanted to send this as a revision. Anyhow, changes to this little high ground, like it plays all right. Do you see what I mean? It's like more open now, and this will like benefit the map. Not a considerable amount, but like a good one. You could even push this ramp like a little bit back. Yeah, then you enter with like cliff problems in there. That's not too much of an issue though. Maybe, yeah, I'm probably going like way too far on this, but maybe you could, maybe you guys can see where I'm going with this. Yeah, no, it is too, I'm cutting like way too much area in the high ground. Kind of a vertical ramp in here. Yeah, no, it wouldn't work. There isn't the space enough. Like, we could do this like if we planify it well, but for a finalist, like for feedback to a finalist, I think that, yeah, something akin to that. More openness, more general openness. In that same vein, this area requires a small little overlord pod. It demands it. Or maybe it doesn't. The issue is that whatever, it looks fine in here, right? That overlord pod, because it allows players to have like a little bit of vision in this area. But around here, it doesn't work. Why? Because players can hide stuff in here. But if we add a slightly little high ground in here, then it works. It kind of works in here on quote, but in here, then there is not enough space from here to here, and from here to here. This choke point becomes like considerably chokier, or feel considerably chokier. So we probably won't be able to have that little high ground in there, even though it is kind of required to a certain degree in order to have like players be able to like spot things. So Zergs will probably struggle a little bit in this area. They can, for example, place the Overlord in the high ground, and will need to rely on that just in this own high ground, and then lose it wherever, like for example, Terran like walks an army by or something like that. But that's just life, I guess. All of these other very important thing, like going back to when I was talking with about the map of the Abyss, all of this center, all of it, all of this high ground terrain should be textured like this. Probably all of it, in order to showcase that there are like terrain differences on it. That's the meme. Like we need to like be like standard, as basically all of the map makers need to like standardize the color, the textures and terrains and whatnot that we use for different terrain levels in order to avoid like problems. It shouldn't be like, I think that this map can hit ladder with this kind of stuff. It can. It shouldn't be like too much of a problem. It is like visually clear enough as it is. But if you want to do like to go like the extra mile, for example, what ICL likes to do, or what RQM or like what AVEX maps end up looking, then you should do the every single level has their own like visual clarity with the textures and everything. This little corner base, just again like I was saying, these ramps are probably too big for it. For the amount of army that will like pass around this area, you can get away with like smaller ramps, and those smaller ramps would actually be kind of more interesting than if you had like bigger ones, because armies just aren't like just that big, that go to the corners. Armies usually tend to roam around the very center. So wherever you do this, then you have extra space. You can see you have extra space to play around with more interesting areas. Stuff like this. It makes it like slightly more open. Look, even just by deleting those, we can then push this entire ramp one space, unquote, to the left, something like that. Then push this ramp as well, one to the left, this ramp as well a little bit, and look what we have now. We have a little area that we could use for Overlord without causing like too much headache in the rest of the area. It looks kind of similar, but now there is an Overlord pod in there. All thanks because we reduced this ramp. Well, there is like it can be like executed better, considerably so, but it works well enough. Something like that. Yeah, this is like kind of a good chunk of feedback. The priority is fixing this. This tank area. It's like very, very, very high priority. Next, the Bespin geysers. This area in here needs to be corrected probably. This area in here. This one is like less of a priority. All of it. It is less of a priority than, for example, the tank we want. And if you really want to go the extra mile, you could retexture the entire center of it to fit the high ground. And if you want, for example, to keep like players like something pretty to look on, whatever, if this map like reaches WCS, then you should texture the entire top and add like a bunch of extra doodles in there. Beyond the blue line, because the blue line, it is just something that players in game can look at, but observers have extra vision of the edges of the map. What else? Cliff lines should be like less straight, stuff like that. Yeah, all of these areas, wherever you, for example, see me whining about mineral lines on the standard mineral lines, know that it isn't like for every single base ever. For example, in this kind of bases, wherever you have like a base tucked in these kind of areas, you can just push it like all the way and make them like considerably use like less footprint. That way you will using less space and you will have more space available around these areas where armies like tend to like go around and whatnot. Yeah, I think that for now, like as a baseline for like Cyber Forest, those are like kind of the changes that I would personally do. When it comes, for example, to like texturing or whatnot, I would personally change this texture to something this like Ayur grassy new Legacy of the Void one to one of the better looking ground textures from like from Wings of Liberty or Head of the Swarm, to someone from the, for example, the Belshir ones from the old Wings of Liberty, but with a different hate map from Legacy of the Void in order to make them mix better. Yeah, I think that's all. Oh, also the Simo 3, please, pretty please, the little pine with the lights and everything. 3 not perfect mineral lines. Yes, I know, Sanglun, but that actually makes it like even better. It actually makes it even better because you are like knowing when to use standard and when to not use standard mineral line, and that is better. It is still team or bottles, but kind of, yeah, I have it. I have like done like just 3 maps. So let me place this in here. At the moment, I'm reviewing field liquid map contest. 11, 1 versus 1, finalist. Yep, I want to annoy the 80 people that are online. Taking requests of feedback as well. Okay. The little trees, yeah, the little like cyber trees look like pretty alright. The ones that you did, Beliki. Still need feedback on Sudden Awakening. Sudden Awakening. Yeah, the thing, Beliki, is that I'm doing like Team Liquid. Oh, it might not download very well. Doesn't matter. What is this? What is this, Navis? Yeah. The stream might have like gone down. The stream might have gone like go down or reduce the bit rate Meanwhile, I was I was like downloading the new map. Yeah, it looks like a nice meme. I'm not sure about the ramp near the third, but that's fine, I guess. Anyhow, let's go back to real maps. Reminiscence. Wanna review my world? Yeah, sure. Send them over, Solstice. Oh no, I broke the stream. Yeah, it was a trap. It was a trap all along. Reminiscence. Why? Why do this? Why you do this? Just use the natural ones. We have the temple ones as well, but those I'm not sure if they can be used. Because they change they don't change dependencies, they change like the status of the map from like melee to custom. And I know that, for example, for Team Blue Map contest, we don't really care about that little tag, but Blizzard does care, really cares about that. And if you change that, anyhow, doing some reviews. Okay, hatcheries. Oh, I'm not sure if a nipple timber fits in here. I'm not sure. You have there is even the space to like push this like 1x to here. It's not like nothing will break. Yeah, that works far better. The thing is that you still have like the 3 size ramp, and that is like Moncast worthy. So usually people just add the 2 versus 2 little rocks in here, just in order to allow for easier time, like well enough. This looks fine. This looks fine. Nice cliffing. Yeah, the players like really like this map. I'm like ambivalent to it. Like it is a well executed standard one. Like very very standard one, as you guys can see. And that is exactly why they like it. like I'm like, but this is like not very interesting. And they, well, it's a standard. Well, okay, yeah, I guess. I still don't like it very much. This is an I do that usage, kind of what like RQM will do. Oh, fancy. What could I say? Always check this kind of stuff, and if you are available, check the line of sight blockers on top of them, just in order to make sure that players like can't see beyond that, and it also works as an overlord pod. What else? These little high grounds. Sometimes the cliff lines bug out, so whatever, for example, wherever you have like little high grounds such as these ones, this happens like a lot with the Protoss cliffs, the ones from like spaceship, or the ones that are like kind of curvy and golden. It happens a lot in there, that you can, for example, have an overlord in here, but units in the low ground can still see the overlord in the little high ground even when you have the marker. And that is because the cliff lines as a mesh and how it handles by the engine, it is like bugged out wherever you have like little overlord spot, just this one. So whatever I end up doing is just adding like bunch of invisible like line of sight blockers around this thing, and then I just give it a go with like the pathing blocker, with like the pathing paint. That way you make sure, you are like 100% sure that any overlord that parks in there like won't like die to like some stalker or some random marine that walks by. It can be still like useful just to leave them like in certain positions, So certain Overlord spots can be more risky, but that's kind of more spooky for like some level design stuff. Third base, comparatively to the natural, they are at a good distance. Yeah, there's like it's all right. It's all right. This openness in the area, like in front of the third, is also very nice. The fourth base, comparative to the third, and the optional third, is like everything, like the spacing on everything is like very, very good. So whatever, if you guys like this map, I think is it's open to download in the battle.net. So if you guys want to, for example, need some like distances to measure and whatnot in order to like understand the spacing of maps and everything, this will be like a very solid one for like Legacy of the Void in like current meta game to download and just like check around. Maybe this area is like kind of too spooky because of the very wide ramp, but even then it's like okay. I still have like my worries. One of them is like there is like a huge amount of space behind the natural, and that is like that's not ideal. But because of the constraints that we had and everything, even though this one was submitted to standard, not by the close by year category. But even then, it is a very solid one. There is like literally not much else to say. Even though I've been spending like, I don't know, like 10 minutes already talking about this very map. I think there is a cannon rush spot in here. Let's check it out. It isn't like, yeah, there it is. Now you replace these ones by pylon. But nowadays, like, nobody cannon rushes. Right, Kappa. It is not too bad because it's like just on top of the high ground, so whatever players can like just stand their queen and just like kill this. But always be watchful of this like little cliff slot, cliff like pocket, because cannon rushes, they hide in there. When it comes to this, do you see this is like a good usage of like, for example, standard mineral lines? Instead of having the Bespin guys naturally be like slightly forward, they are like just one next to the back, just so they use like less space and everything. This entire area could be like tricky with the Reapers. But I think it works all right. I'm thinking, for example, like Reapers, for example, slightly bugging out wherever they are in this area, because players have the camera like this. So in the symmetrical area around here, it can be like tricky, for example, if you click in here instead of here, the Reaper will like do a bunch of jumps and get himself killed. And especially because it is like right behind the mineral line of the third base, it can still like be even more tricky. Yeah, I think that is basically it for Reminiscence. How do you live without the hide? No, I literally live without the hide taskbar on. I enjoy it this way, okay? Drop a tank. Yeah, no, I used to like not having the auto hide, but then I just like changed it, and I earn like so much real estate in my little monitor that ever since I have just used auto hide, because it just hides everything and makes it look neat. No, you can't. You literally can't. You can't. I guarantee it. Yeah, it probably can. For example, whatever you have like a medivac, but no. The spooky thing, it used to be like with the Widow Man. That used to be like some serious fucking memes. And I for a while I actually stopped like placing like the Reapers jump pads like behind the third base, because whatever like a Terran would like drop a like not a couple but like 4 Widow Mines in there and just kill like a bunch of the mineral line. and you just couldn't be able to kill it because they were like widow mines and they were like in the cliff. It was so freaking annoying. But nowadays with the bad widow mines ish, it is like better. Not as cancerous. When it comes to this, again, please guys, do this for me. Just this little thing besides all of the other stuff, but this in particular, okay? Maybe, yeah, no, it's okay like that. It's okay like that. Like, just show a little bit more of the Bespin Castle. Just in order to allow for their players to not die to Alins and whatnot. They still need to sacrifice the freaking Overlord. So it's not like they... Yeah, it used to be like they will get like free scouting, but nowadays far less so. Also the people like in the chat, all of the memers, remember to do this like that. Also, same stuff here. I almost forgot. Okay. There it is. That's an approved mineral line. This one is like less important because it's in the third base. But for the naturals and mains, it is usually always good to have the standard mineral lines with like this setup with the 3 mineral patches. Because they are like the vital mineral lines that you need to defend. If you lose your natural, you're like kind of screwed, my dude. Remember siege tanks on 0 grand? Ah, yeah. But you can do that in the game. So, well, yeah, free real estate, yeah. Okay, I think that's all for reminiscence. There is literally like not much to change because it is like so standard. If you want to like spice something up just a little bit, the map could have like some diagonal rocks in here, something like that, and you block the obviously you block the edges. But that's not even like spicy. It's just like kind of because then armies like walk by each other instead of like meeting in the middle. I think that Blizzard will like ended up picking this one up, like probably, yeah. This rocks is like useless basically, but it is still like it should be like 1,000 HP rock or like a 500 one 500 HP one. Yeah, I think that's for reminiscence. Do you guys want me to like review any particular one? Maybe it's Young Rustler. Young Rustler, tell me, my boy, do you want me to review anybody? The thing is that the other guys are like not here, and that's a problem. They should be here probably. Oh, nope. This is the one. Host, Templar, cat, negative. But yeah, guys, Port Alexander maybe help you find a way to build a better fort. Port Alexander. Yeah, the fort is like tricky to say the least because the map doesn't have like much space in that area. I think it. Yeah. Yep. I think that just because you have like your optional third and like 3 optional fourth, I think that you will be fine, dude. You will be fine. The players whining that they want something in here, they are insane, all of them. They probably like vote Trump as well. They're just like that kind of people. You just like tell them like, okay, dude, okay, like just like play with this. Like, I know that it's kind of tricky in some areas, but like you will enjoy it. It will be like you will be fine. You will survive this. Believe me. Um. Oh, I didn't knew this do that. We got some boats. We got some boats, boys. We can do like some like naval warfare level games now with our new boat. Nice. Oh yeah. Oh, so that's probably why Superhuman like did his anchor map. He added like a bunch probably. I haven't like actually like checked the aesthetics like too much of the anchor map. So why I don't quite understand though. Why does it have like propulsion with like engine instead of like just propellers? Come on, guys. Oh, it is probably because it is like a space boat, space boat. So that's probably why. Sadly, I will need to say that this area probably needs to go. It probably needs to go. It needs to be like instantly clear which areas can be dropped on and which ones can't. And that is not instantly clear. Something like that. Sadly. Or you can just like add like a bunch of pipes to that and just make it look like everything is like pipe to that. Something like that. So it is like instantly clear. Map might probably need like a Reaper jump pad in here. It is you can add it like rather easily. It should not cause like too much problems like in any shape, form or fashion. Shape, fashion or form. Them in here with the little doodads. Oh. Okay, let's hide the terrain, let's hide the doodads, all the fluff needs to go. We're gonna review the map itself. This area is like very safe, and that is what like literally makes like Port Alexander like a solid macro map. This area here is very safe, so you can just park your army and just like with your sphere of influence can like shoo away like any harassment to your third or your optional fourth or stuff like that. When it comes to openness, certain areas like it is still might it is you can still probably get away with like even extra openness. Like in the past, we talked about all of this area needed to be like it had a bunch of doodads, so those doodads were removed. But now we will probably need to like remove doodads from the bottom, just in order to allow, for example, to have this area be slightly more open. And in the same fashion that we were talking about previous map, you can get away with doing stuff like this. Maybe even stuff like this. Usually it's always better to leave like the little gap between the Bespin gases and the mineralized. But in here, you really need the space. So doing it like that will help you like more than just a small amount. Same probably here. There you go. Something like that. I'm still unsure because the third bases, it is still kind of spooky to do this because players usually need to access the back of the third, whatever. For example, Terrans those a drop, so units need to be able to stream into the back, especially if you are gonna add the Reaper jump pad. But in here you will still need the space anyways, so I will advise something akin to that. When it comes to like the fourth, I think that the people that are like telling you that it should be more closed are like literally insane. This is already like a solid macro map. What might need be done is more overlord pods. So like some at least. This area... Ah, yeah, this is already another pod. Yeah, make it more clear. I actually, like, literally missed it. That shame on me. It should be, like, slightly more clear. I'm not sure how. Probably you could, like, take all of these little doodads, the white ones, and lower them. Lower them in the terrain. That should help you some. Ah, it's just an entire doodad thing. I thought that this was different from this one, but it's entire doodad. Maybe cover them and add like an accent color in here, or a light or something in here, in order to make it like pop, unquote, more to the players. Same in here. This is a solid usage. It blends very well into the terrain. The doodads. I'm trying to find like particular things, because I know that for the most part the rest of the map is like very solid, so there isn't like much that I can actually nitpick, so I'm trying to find things to nitpick for you. Yeah, probably here the same thing that I was saying in the past. Wherever you have, like, for example, a 1x1 cliff, make sure that overlords won't get like randomly killed wherever a unit pass around this little high ground. Especially because it is so vital for your map in this. Because it is basically your own, unquote, only little overlord pod in that area. Maybe we will do this. Probably not, but maybe. Yeah, no, you have the two exposed vesting guys. That is not necessary. It will be overkill and would like make Terrans or Plotters players like actually kind of dislike the map. Mineral lines might actually need to be done so standard. Huh. There we go. There it is. Copy that one. In your previous one, these mineral patches were like slightly inefficient. Or maybe you did it for a reason, because you fear, like, for example, a siege tanks in here. No. Just copy that one. And probably add like a couple extra doodads in here to avoid a siege tank like reaching like too much. They probably still can't, but even then. This little doodad usage, you're getting like very good with like your doodad usage, at least for Port Alexander. Like the map looks like very good. It fits the environment and everything. Restricted, it could be like far clearer. Or just make it like not restricted and just allow players to like move all the way up. That way they will have like an extra area where they can hide stuff. For example, such as an oracle with the Stargate and everything in here. Just those kind of little things. Maybe obviously you will have to block this area. There are some city. I want to see like what is the name of the thing in English? Un peaje. I'm not sure how to say it. There is that the atoll, something like that. There is like a atoll with a little bar that lives. There is a doodad like that. I'm not sure what is the name though. No, it's not police. It is a little tall thing that lives anyhow, and use that as a doodad to block the passage. Also, the texturing that you use in here, continue it down here. Just in order to like make players like want to see more detail and whatnot, because they really enjoy that kind of stuff. What else? I think that's it. Main bases are well sized, the distances are fine, this area is very safe, so that makes the map This area is like more open, far more open than it used to be in the past, and that's very, very good. Probably the Overlord pod. Maybe check this area, maybe add like a couple extra doodads in here, so try to like shoo away any siege tank that might want to reach in there. Yeah, something like that. Burning car wreckage. Maybe an hydrofloat. Yeah, no, in the team maps, we are like still doing like the judging part, and I don't know, probably not, probably won't be able to. Like, my priority now at the moment is like getting feedback to the finalists. Not to the team map, and that's like probably screwed up. But we don't have like years and years to give feedback. People were like doing some games on the team games on the team maps, so that's pretty fun, and they were having fun with them. So that's also a bonus. I won't tell like which maps are like doing well, obviously, but just know that we're like doing playtesting and everything. Yeah, I always look like the assets themselves that we have gotten over like the last years look like incredible. They look so good. The rocks themselves. They are such good rocks, dude. It's the little things in life. Like having like some good rocks to use and look at. Yeah, like the textures themselves, like for example this grass, I don't like it. But the rocks itself, the rocks textures and everything, the shapes, it looks so good. You could do like just a map with rocks, and it will be great. It will actually work. Anyhow, I think that is all for Port Alexander. Yeah, let's just take a moment and like just look at the rock, dude. Okay, what are you guys saying? Low res textures. Blend Trump. Let's ping negative. He's probably not online. Yeah, it sucks. I don't know. I cannot blame myself. We should have like done more alert that the stream was online. That way we could have like ICL and Avex and all maybe Time even. Let's try something out. Let's see if you guys can jump into the voice chat. Jump into the Discord. Whatever if you guys are available, of course. Sudden Awakening. It is in a finalist though. Why do we have two of them? Maybe it is? I forgot the name. Oh, you have a mic now. Nice. Yeah, all maps category 2. Yeah, this one. Well, there is my irreversible hatred against the Overlord Slayers, but this is a rather solid map. Well, you have your natural,
Could
your
you please use the new map I've sent you?
New map? Which new map? You need to tell me the names, dude. Oh, right. The one that I downloaded. Oh, I forgot. 1 second. The one that almost brought down the stream. Okay. my, this is fancy. You still need to make it even clearer that you can't path in here. And that can only be done by doodads. And those doodads will probably block the vision of these other doodads. So, yeah. That's probably what will need to be done. Let me see. Natural third. The same distances. That's fine. This is fine. It is always the trick with this kind of bases that not per se. I wanted to say that Zerg tend to have the issues with trying to block, for example, link plots in CVC, and the only way that those link plots can be stopped it is if the queens themselves are like very close to the ramp. But we just can't design like entire maps just for CVC. So this is fine. When it comes to this mineral patch is misplaced. It needs to be placed like this. That way you will like reduce the probe jumping from like a probe comes here, it starts mining in here and jumps to this mineral patch. By placing it like this instead of this, you will be reducing the mineral jumping from the back of the mineral line. That's not like per se a problem with the amount of minerals mined per minute or something like that, but it's something that annoys the players like from a psychological perspective. So that's something still that we kind of need to take care of. When it comes to this, I remember, Beliki, that you were talking about to me regarding that the map wasn't perfectly symmetrical when it comes to the mineral lines, for example, and the Bespin gases. For example, there is like 2.5 X's in here, 2.5 tiles. Meanwhile, to the other side, there are 3. And you were kind of annoyed by this. This is a very, very minor. Like, in Brood War, you maybe might lose games because of asymmetry, because of symmetrical maps. But in StarCraft 2, it is like less of a problem. So even when you should still avoid like some huge problems with this, like some huge asymmetries, you can still get away with doing like small little asymmetries like this. It is not per se a problem. It's intrinsic to the game, and it's also encouraged for the game design. For example, the 2x1 mineral patches instead of the 1x1 mineral patches. Oh, me abyss! Mute yourself, kid. You are getting feedback in the stream. Okay, so continuing on, we have the overlord pods that are well positioned comparatively so, even though it still has obviously the problem of the freaking overlord slayers. So it's not like they are useful at all because overlords can't cross this area. God damn it. And that is an issue with the entire category itself and with the very core idea of having like overlord slayers exist at all. So yeah, boys, my hatred for them is still palpable. No, not per se. We could have gotten like eggs or like higher XP rocks. That would have been like, at least in my opinion, more interesting than the Overlord players. Same thing that we were talking about in the past. Oh, all of this area probably needs to have like a couple extra to that, a couple to the top. That way, for example, the observers won't get like until the end because the camera can see like further than just the blue line for the observers in WCS. So yeah, add more to that, to at least to the top. Out of this area, same in here. What else? Main bases might be like slightly too big, but that's not really a problem because you manage to like cut some areas. But it's something that you might want to look forward into like future maps, just in order to try to control the size of the main bases. Try to keep it that like more closely in mind. Also, the ground textures might be like slightly too noisy. For example, this Tarsonis like rubble, you could have replaced it with something like from the char swamp. I forget the name, charred acid or something akin to that. That has some more simple textures, more simple, more plain looking. That way you will reduce the overall noise in this area, the visual clutter. It is not like the end of the world, but it could help more. When it comes to this, these rocks and positioning is very well. The distance between the third and the fourth is like just a little bit far, but just so little that it's almost meaningless, but it is still there, especially with like line of sight blockers and the way that you position this choke point. This choke point helps in order for you to secure your third, and you also were careful that is something this happens a lot, to not have, for example, siege tanks kill stuff from the high ground from the fourth. So that's a good thing. But it is still, I think it might be like slightly too overkill with the line of sight blockers, but I'm unsure. This is something that it will only really need to be like tested and try it out. I can't tell you like for sure if it will be like awful or not. That's something that should be left to the player. This little place, I think it looks cool, and I think it could like give some like interesting like interaction. It is kind of those little ledges that I had around in, for example, Foxtrot Labs or maps older like that, where you have like some areas that encourage kind of some tricky micro thing. For example, having some marines like step into this area and then kill all of the Sterlings and stuff like that. Counterplay stuff, like embedded into the map itself. The openness in the center, it is like great, like actually like good, like not much to say. Yet this small ramp, I'm unsure if it's like strictly necessary. We have like some good like lurker games in CBC in the very first day of the stream in this map, and that was like interesting, like pretty interesting. Like the usage of lurkers around the high ground ramps in order to abuse and just contain the opponent. But I still think that this ramp might need to be like widened a little bit. I'm unsure because this at the same time, wherever I'm saying that the ramp should be widened, at the same time it is the shortest attack path, and wherever you widen that, you are taking away from the rest of the map. So it's something that should be done carefully. So though one kind of cool thing that could be done, I'm unsure if this will actually work. Something like that. I'm unsure. But maybe. Oh. Maybe. Just an idea. Just throw it away, don't use it. But maybe something like that for future maps that might use the mirror diagonal symmetry. The gold bases, I don't think it will be used, and I don't think I particularly like all of the turrets in here. I think that they are overkill. I think that you could like actually get away with just these three here, and without all of this, because remember that all of this area will also be used, for example, for Terrans like sending medivacs all the way down, and that and having these turrets, like Terran won't be able to do like sneaky things to that, and that is something that actually allows Terrans to be like kind of in a balanced status. So yeah, I will like kind of personally just remove all of these turrets in here and just leave these ones in here. But that's really up to you, Billy. Fort bases are fine. this forward optional 4 is also fine. Maybe you could push it slightly closer, but it's alright. Like, it's an alright meme. You could also add like a small little Reaper jump position in here. Remove like just a couple do that, and have the Reaper like jump between the mineral and the Bespin Geyser to this little high ground, and then to the main. That way you ease up the scouting for terrain. Or maybe you don't want that, and maybe I'm talking like against your general idea for the map. This area you could probably as well increase the openness of this, in order to give like a more a higher contrast between the openness of this area and the chokiness produced by this. That is always like, I am a sucker for the superhuman ideas of like that contrast that I was talking about between openness and areas that are more choky. I find it to be like very interesting, and it generates some cool interactions in the game. Something like that, but it's really like up in the air, because this is a diagonally mirrored map, and this area is always like tricky to get right. So probably not, but this is like some interesting pointers that as well you might want to implement in like future maps, or at least like look at them and implement them like in some different way, with like higher contrast between the openness and chokes. What else? You have like a good amount of like overlord pods. The problem is that the the overlords will have to go all the way around, and that's one of the problems with the turret thing, because you are literally making like Stark players to stand their overlords all the way around, and because the timings in StarCraft tend to be like so tight, whenever the overlord, for example, gets in here, the Terran might already have like marines. So the Zerg player won't be able to get like his overlord to the overlord pod and stuff like that, just because the turrets didn't allow him to like send the overlord straight. And that's like that's the other thing that probably will need to be corrected with the turret players, especially as we start to get used to them more and more as time goes by. So yeah, I will, even when I don't like them, I will like still recommend people to like explore them and try to use them in like maybe not like interesting ways, but like try to like implement them in maybe like on a standard map, see how that works, or maybe use them like try to break it, like try to create maps and just see if they work, see if they work, if they don't, like iterate on that. Oh, well, hopefully the stream like is alive. Your mic not on Discord. Avex is at work, but requested year 0, by the way. Okay. Really? My mic is not on Discord? Yeah, that kind of sucks. Okay. Hopefully now it is. Yeah, now it is. But you guys will have like a huge amount of delay, though. Or maybe, well, we'll see. We'll see. Okay, Avex requested year 0. Where we are. Finalists, standard, year 0. You mean the the habitation station map? Oh boy. You know, it should have like rotated the entire map like 180 degrees, so the main bases are at the bottom. That way, people would have been able to tell that it is like literally habitation station. Kappa. Okay. Anyhow, who was talking to me? Miavis. Can you hear me? Mute the stream, damn it.
Is my microphone working?
Yeah, you're sounding fine. Strong, loud, and sexy.
Oh, okay. I can't get push talk set up properly.
Well, don't worry about it. Me neither. Anyhow, okay, let's do like a review of year 0. First, the mineral line, like, it is fine. He probably tries to get away with this because he knows that he needs the pocket in order to allow for micro, but he still wants the cardinal mineral lines instead of the diagonal one. So that's fine. Like, I'd allow this. A very limited amount of airspace, that's fine. Oh, there is a cannon rush spot in here. that will be. That will be.
Isn't that like on daybreak, the main mineral line?
The main mineral line. Yeah, no, yeah, no, but I mean it in year 0. Not daybreak. What do you
like
bring
the
like
main mineral
daybreak
line
up? Yeah, there is like a cannon rush in the mineral lines in daybreak. That's awful. And that is because they didn't use like standard mineral lines. If they had, they I'm just selling out my little mineral lines, okay? Just let me have it. Well, this mineral line, it's fine as well. He probably should, like, I'm not sure which one is which. This one is the 900. So that one should be like that. But he preferred to use it. No, look. If Avex, like, whatever, if he looks at the bot, if you are gonna do this in order to create a pocket in here, then it can be done with the 900 mineral pad. It needs to be with the 1500. So it should be something like this instead. Now we're talking. Because then you have like the two 1500s on every single side, and you have the 900 one at the back, as it should be by like Blizzard standard. So this is how it should look. Okay, continuing on. Make the overlord pods visually clear. I think that it is like visually clear enough. At least I can tell it easily, but I'm like a literal god map maker, Kappa, and maybe players won't be able, but I digress. Like, if they can't tell like this is an overlord bot, then they are like just not true stack players. Reaper jump pad, very well with the chokiness in here. Very good use of it. There is the overlord areas in here, and obviously the Avex no fly zones that I just I just dislike, but he just tells me like fuck you, and he just continues to use them. So okay, dude, do your thing, do your thing. Also, it works, okay, because he needs them for the do that, so that's fine, I guess. It looks sick, like people love it. So why do I know? What do I know? If they love it, well, that's their prerogative. Okay, attack path. It is just probably a little bit too straightforward. That is it. It is kind of akin to Namaste in the center. I'm not sure if you guys even remember the map very well. The guys in Twitch chat. Probably just like Google it. StarCraft 2 Namaste Team Blue Map Contest. I think I'm not sure if it was like a finalist even, but it had like kind of an issue similar to this in the center, wherever like all of the units will get like funneled in to the center, and it will take away from the rest of the map. This is something that happens a lot with like this kind of like habitation station like map, and that is also why Avex learned like a huge amount from Namaste as well, and he made like Namaste was considerably like longer in height, and he just like could
Pretty much just mirror symmetry, not?
yeah mirror symmetry in general. But yeah, when it comes to this like center, I would like do the same thing that, for example, I recommended, if I recall correctly, teammate to do, and that is just like add rocks to it. just like seriously like just add a couple of rocks to it, something like into this, and in the center of Dreamcatcher. So that way you are creating like some very tight chokes, and just by doing this, then this area becomes like detached from the from the attack path. Maybe it still generates problems because whenever you are thinking of like army movements in the center and attack paths and stuff like that, the best way to think about it, and as I found out, is just to think of it like sand. Like imagine that there is like a sand generator, something like this, in a main base, and then the sand flows towards the enemy like spawn position, just like sand of water, something like that, and you just have like a fluid that that like travels across the entire map. And wherever there is like a considerable amount of fluid in certain areas, like flowing, like and like a disproportionate amount, and some other areas don't get as much like sand flowing from here to here. Let me see if I can do this. It will look kind of weird, but we should be able to like get away with it. No, let's hide this and let's hide the background. Okay. Okay. This will look better. It should at least.
I'm not sure if the analogy for water is like the best. I prefer to compare it to like electricity. And
No,
it just takes
no,
the shortest path and that path
no,
only.
no. That is because you are like an electrician. But no, the water sand analogy works just fine. It works just fine, Mavis, okay? Fight me. But yeah,
No, it doesn't, because units don't spread out like water in StarCraft. It's all clumped up.
yeah, it is all clumped up. But the way that the units move across the map, and the way that, for example, the units path are across the map, and the way, for example, that player psychology works with the strategical like overview of the map, it kind of works like that. So that's why I'm saying water or sand. But yeah, imagine that there is like a sand flowing from like a spawn position to the other one, and it flows like from here and through the path of least resistance tries to get in here. It gets stuck because they are rocks. So this area gets like choked with sand, and then it flows like towards the center. But do you see that it continues to flow too well across the center? So there is no sand that goes like to the left side of the map. So this area becomes like kind of unused. That is at least like the best like how to get it instantly, how to understand it instantly, how the attack paths work. But yeah, when it comes to this, that is the analogy that I personally have come to like kind of love when it comes to this. Mavis has his own like short circuiting analogy, and he made like a huge write up, so that is why he's fighting me right now. But I'm the judge, damn it. But yeah, dude. Like, just post your. You had like a rather long write up, I remember, or at least like a video. Post it in the chat so like the other guys like can actually read it or see it, because it was actually like pretty interesting. Mavis, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, but I don't think that video was too good. Like,
Do it.
I could have explained it.
No,
better.
do it. It is what we have. We have to roll with it. Do it. But yeah, when it comes
I'll
to
just
this,
find it and
do it. Just post it, dude. When it comes to this, the map works. I don't want to say that it works like perfectly, because this is my main worry, that the center will get like used way too much, this area, and this entire bottom area won't be able to be used as much. This was this. I'm not one to say that this map is like absolute trash, because it is excellent. Like I think it's actually like better than Habitation Station to a very certain degree. But this is like some constant that is always that we need to be fighting on whenever we do like this kind of vertical mirror symmetry. it's even worse. It is more problematic than when we do diagonal symmetry, because when we do diagonal symmetry, we have like slightly more canvas to work with, but with the horizontal symmetry, it's like very difficult. So yeah, these kind of rocks, they work. I'm still like spooked, and I will add like something like this in order to reduce the amount of sand or water that flows across this entire area. Do you see, like, for example, just by adding these rocks, instead of having like be straight, now it deviates itself to the top and a little bit to the bottom. This area, the openness, I think is basically perfect. Maybe it could be like remove it a little bit, but I will say like remove it a little bit, but I'm not even sure that we can do that without ending them, without creating like a couple other issues. It is like it's a very well executed map. Something like that, maybe. Yeah, it looks like just a little bit better. When it comes to this area is like pretty interesting because it allows, for example, Terran to position. It's a small little place that allows Terran to position siege tanks or micro marines or do like crazy stuff. It is a small little spot that allows for high macro potential, and those high macro potential areas allow for like highlight reels and whatnot, and that's something that the guys at Blizzard always like because it helps promote like StarCraft a little bit more. This little doodad in here, I am not sure if like strictly necessary. It is the same, for example, issue that his port map, the map that we just reviewed, the one with the boat, had when with the tree and the fort base. Because this area, without it, it is like too open, but with it, it is like too tight and allows like for slightly problematic pathing. So in order to fix that, I will personally like increase a little bit this area, something like that. I'm not sure if Avex would like
to be honest,
agree with that.
That looks kind of weird with the square as pathing. I think it should be rounded out.
Yeah, probably, but I think that is just something so small, and he did that in order to have it work well with, for example, the building. But I'm not sure if like it's even like line up. So if Avex is gonna, for example, watch the bot wherever he gets home, one thing that I would point out is like try to like line it up with the building grid, so it can be done like can be used as a little bit of a wall or something like that. Other area that allows for like high macro potential or harassment of the mineral line, I think is interesting enough. He also has been getting like very good when with using like overlord pods in order to, for example, in order to create like this little pocket. It's something that I find very interesting and good. Not per se interesting, but like good usage of like cliffs as a aesthetic like point, as aesthetic things, not just as something that you put aesthetics on, but the cliffs themselves as aesthetics. Good usage of this choke point. The rocks in here look like awkward, but they work very well with the army flow and everything. It generates this cool choke. Again, other point that to, for example, to Beliki, like you can see that every single high ground, like it has the same tone, the same usage of textures for every single level, and every single level is also different in their own personal like texture thing. Things to point out, issues. This area probably could be like abused a little bit too much with Liberator, especially with Liberators with range. Not so much as, for example, Eastwatch or other maps like that. I was talking with Team A while ago, I think, or was it maybe Mavis, that Eastwatch wasn't so much a problem with the.
That was not me, I think.
Yeah, I literally don't remember, but it probably was teammate. He was saying that he had like a map that was similar to Eastwatch with the usage of cliffs like behind mineral lines, and he was saying that the Eastwatch, as we saw in win percentages and whatnot, he was checking that Eastwatch wasn't so much a problem with the Liberators nowadays. I still feel like kind of it's still scary for me to like so like not violently say that, but be so strong in that assertion because the metagame changes and it always you can have the development team like just change their mind and just uh, maybe buff the Liberator a little bit and then everything goes to hell again. So I'm unsure. I would still like advise maybe to add like a slightly little more open area behind the mineral line just in order to avoid like that kind of meme. But it in here is like not so much a problem already. So maybe not. It will really depend on what Avex decides. It could be like either way. I will still like prefer to do it to like add extra space just to time proof the map some more. So it can instead of work like for instead of working for 6 months, it maybe could work for like a year or something like that without problems, without balance issues caused by like dev team balance changes. Mm, what else? If I recall correctly, Avex used to have like a base around here, maybe at the very bottom of the map. Maybe he could add that back, a gold base in here. I'm not sure because at the moment there is like no point of interest for the bottom other than the Selnaga. The Selnaga already like is like pretty important for this map, but maybe adding like a small gold base in here might work better. It will still like throw off like a bunch of other stuff, like for example, stair players taking that gold base and then doing like some nasty like all-ins against the Protoss or stuff like that. But I think that it might work well enough, and especially because the map has like a rather small amount of bases. It is just a 12 base map, so having a 13 base map might work slightly better in the late game and everything. If we could have this rock be, for example, like 1000 HP point rock, then I think the rocks in the very center, the ones that I just added, they will be like they will work better. I think considerably so. I just wish we could have like different non-standard HP rocks. That would be so good. It will open so many doors. Like for example, these rocks will be like I don't know 5000 HP or something like that. And then you can like push them back some more instead of needing to place this area in order to balance the an army pushing towards the third, stuff like that. Um, what else? There is literally like not. I don't think that there is like not much else to say. The map is like very solid. I would change this area probably personally, make it like slightly more open. The rocks in the center, maybe a gold base near the Selnaga. Probably fix the doodad that you said, Miavis. The doodad cluster on top of like near the fourth base. Open up this little area some more. Maybe open up the back of the fourth bases in order to time proof the map some more against, for example, possible balance changes from the development team. Stuff like, for example, a Banshee buff or I don't know, some Mutalist buff or some random stuff like that could be abused for. The gold base maybe, or maybe a blue base like right below the Selnaga in the center. And I think that's it. The amount of, for example, overlord pods that the map has is like very solid. It works well enough. There could be like one overlord pod in here, I think, like right in front of the third base. There is already one near the center, but one near the third base, in front of the third base, instead of this one in here, could be beneficial in order, for example, to spot like different kind of stuff. But I think I think that it works well as it is. I think that I'm nitpicking
What
too
would
much.
you think about cutting out the entire area around the North Xelnaga?
The North Naga. Cutting out like these
Like just
high grounds?
cut out the high ground.
The high grounds at each side.
The low ground, I mean.
The thing is that this area is like so important to the map. Like, because of the symmetry itself, the habitation station worked because the gold bases were pocket bases, and that pocket bases allow habitation station to not need to have this kind of ramp. These kind of ramps are actually in my opinion, like taken away from the map. But at the same time, I know exactly like kind of why Avex add them in the first place. If you have something like this with a pocket third, the map will still work. The map will still work, and I think it works better than this way than otherwise. But the this area then it becomes like dead space. Look, I think that we could, for example, but this is like some drastic change, especially for the map itself. You could have like now you could have this Selnaga be like around here, and then add like a base in here, something like that. I really think that this area is like kind of taken away from the map itself, because this entire high ground area could be used to like to better the map in some other way, but it is different from what we have now, and it's not a change that I would recommend doing like right now that the map is finalist, because this is a violent change to the entire idea of the map. And at the same time, by making these bases like pocket bases, like from a quasi-politic point of view, Avex is opening itself up in order to be like to say that the player base will be saying that he stole habitation station or something like that, and that will be something that that is like very annoying to deal with, because habitation station works very well thanks because of the pocket bases that work as third.
But every map is Cloud Kingdom.
Yeah, I will guess so. I will guess so. So yeah, this is like the politics of map making. I think that he might like get away with like making like some ramp in here, like a one x size ramp, something. I don't want to say dumb like that, but it's like something akin to that. And it still like have it work, something like that. And a gold base in here, maybe. But yeah, the problem is that I'm still thinking the way that with the sun stuff. Okay, so you have your your spawn positioning here, and then you have your sand that flows directly from one spawn to the other via the faster path. So you will always have like a huge amount of sand that will be flowing in here, but like a disgustingly high amount, and very little sand will be flowing around here. So this means that players won't really like to path across this area, and at that point the map is like basically broken, because it isn't like you are having like a huge amount of area that is not gonna be used by a considerable amount of players or game. So at that point you just scrap the map and just like start over. So this is why, for example, I will recommend to make like pocket bases, and why I consider them to work so well in the mirror symmetry, horizontal mirror symmetry type of map. But year zero like already works like well enough that it shouldn't be like too much of a problem. The issue comes from this specific area, the ones that you Mavis were talking about, the area that maybe we could like actually just remove, but it will actually like take away from the map, and I don't know how to compensate for it. Like, I wish we had like a better solution, but for the time being, I'm not sure that we do. The map is not, it is not awful, but I think that it is kind of it is like close to a breakthrough in what could we all do with, for example, horizontal symmetry map. We could do better than we are doing. We could do better than year zero, but it's kind of giving that extra step towards further understanding like this kind of layout. It is not a layout that is very explored because it is so constricting to us. But I think that it's something that we should all like explore more. Yeah, I think that's basically it for year zero. It is like the constriction of the layout itself, of the type of symmetry that he's using, is like what's creating a huge amount of problems. But it's not something that it can be like easily fixed either. It's something structural to the entire thing. I think that year zero will work like very if it makes it to ladder, which I think the development team will probably pick it because it's like very solid. I think it will do like fine, unless like no, yeah, I think it will do fine, especially if there is like these rocks added or something akin to this, in order to constrict the very central pathway because it is too direct. Yeah, I think that's all. I think that's all for like year zero. To like recap, fix this, make it so it is like aligned with the building grid. What else? Oh yeah, the mineral line stuff in the natural base. These mineral patches. Overlord pods is well positioned. This area is probably, what is it? This area was probably like too big, so I just reduced it a little bit. And yeah, I really like this little spot for like high micro real moment for like cool things. Maybe a pacing here, but that will be like a considerable change. And then you just could like go take an axe, a pickaxe, and just like hammer all of this area away and try to fix it somehow. But overall, it works like very, very, very solidly already. NPC at work. Oh, he won't have time to work on year zero. Well, no, it's still this is solid enough. The only change that I will say is kind of urgent is the mineral change and maybe this little change. But beyond that, we should be fine. Oh, the music is around. Music, if you have like one of your maps that you will like me to review, I am doing like personal unquote reviews for every single map of the finalist. Crystal Cavern, Reminiscers, Carlos Junction, Moopy's Rep. This was the map I seal, if I recall correctly. I'm sorry if you guys can like hear me eat. I'm eating like some oranges. I really don't want to happen the same thing that happened to me like the last week when my throat was like just about to give up. Okay, first thing with the ICL map, the mineral patches. They are badly positioned. It makes the moopies cry. Okay, fixed. Timing here, probably. If I recall correctly, like ICL had already submitted a version of this. He had like planned some serious changes to like removing every single Overlord Slayer ever and leaving like only just 3. Just for the record, I'm not sure if we can allow that. I'm really not sure because it is such a drastic change to the map itself and to the concept of the category that I'm not sure if we can do that, if we can allow that. Also, this area looks sick. It looks very, very good, like classic, like ICL level stuff. Oh, he really enjoys like doing this kind of stuff.
He was pretty good at that, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so reviewing the thing. First, we go and check if the clip reaches. Yep, it does. So that's a huge bonus. I think that you can place a siege tanks and shell the heck out of this area. But it's still, there is still a height difference, a terrain difference. So that's not, that makes it like less of a problem instantly. It's still a problem, but like less so. Main bases, it is like correctly sized, natural correctly sized. Third base, maybe a little bit too exposed, but not the end of the world by any margin of the imagination. Maybe we could have like a 4x4 rock positioning here in order to create a choke point in here, and in order to reduce like army units like getting too much into this area and taking down the nexus or the town hall or the hatchery or the sea too easily. We had some sick games in here. Lots of medivac died, and that makes me very happy. When it comes to the third base, do you see what I mean? These bases, when it comes to like horizontally or vertically mirror maps, they tend to work far better when they are just pocket bases, these pocket thirds. I still think that, for example, because Year Zero has like has a more width, has a more distance between the third bases, it will work better than this one. Because here the pocket bases are like too close to each other. But yeah, I don't think that that's something that can be fixed. It might be fixed if we were able to create like 6,000 HP rocks as diagonal rocks. That would be like interesting. And will allow us to get away with like more memes. But like here we are.
I mean, technically, you could just put 3 of them in a row.
2 yellow. 2 what? 2 what? Miavis, 2 what?
Those huge diagonals, you could just place them in a row. Like 2 of them in a row on a ramp.
Mm-hmm. I'm not understanding. I'm not sure if it's like your accent or anything like that. 2 yellow mineral at each side of the ramp? What?
Like
yeah, you're probably like watching the delayed stream and me ranting about any random stuff. Yeah, there is like literally not much to say. I really dislike the turret. They kill so many overlords, and they throw away like it is like literally like a wrench into like any. If I want to talk about, for example, overlord positioning and like the little pods for the overlords, then I literally just can't, because these guys like literally make it impossible for me to talk about that, because the overlords need to take like a huge fucking detour in order to reach their overlord pods destinations. So it's not like
Is this map made to balance Serral?
What is this map made to balance? What? Meavis, don't let me hanging. Is this map done to balance sterile?
Serral, the Zerg.
Ah, to balance sterile. Yeah, I will guess so. He did it because he hates him. Like, I see all these like Italians, so he's always jelly of like other people, of other like Europoors as well. He's like very jealous. Um, I'm just memeing, by the way. Not racist.
Something I just noticed, but like those cliffs the turrets are on are two height adjacent to zero height terrain, or like the highest and lowest are adjacent, so you can probably LOS units like that.
The adjacent. In the main bases? Or something like that?
No, like between the center bases, those ridges with turrets on them,
Mm-hmm.
they're the highest height, right next to low ground.
Yeah, and you can probably hide units in the back of them. Yeah, I would guess so. Yep, you can. It's an ICL map after all. Yeah. No, that's still like not so much of a problem, I guess. It is still like pretty cancerous, but not really. Especially because like I don't like it, but it is like not. I don't see it like being so much of a problem. Like you could have like some doodads like these ones, like a bunch of plants in here, and just add like lots of plants, more plants everywhere, and then it becomes like not a problem. Oh, there was
What I
something.
don't really get is why the turret thing is even a category. Like it's such a restricting element.
It is.
Like why? What are
You
trying to
you
restrict?
know what I think. You know what I think. I think that they saw they were like wherever like Team Liquid the Total Biscuit died, they went and binge watched the old Showcraft Clan Wars VODs, and they saw that map that Tyrian made a while ago, Crazy Clash, with the turrets, and they really like it. They got like really hyped. It would be cool if we gave like mappers the turrets from Crazy Clash. And they just did it.
Yeah, that's true, but like
That's what I think.
that's a pretty different situation because the map is so like off balance that you need a restrictive element to put it back in its tracks, and turrets on a standard map just make a random restriction that
Yep.
just pushes the balance off instead of back on it.
Yep. I fully agree. And there is nothing I can say. Like my only optimism for the turrets it is that over time, like 2 years from now, we will get better with them. That is like my optimism when it comes to them. Beyond that, it is like, I would have preferred to have like 6,000 HP rocks over there. But yeah, that is just how things go, I guess. Or eggs. Who was talking about eggs? I think it was like negative, or somebody else was talking about like us like having eggs and being able to like do like walls that can only be mineral walk with probes and whatnot. That would be like actually interesting. Um, or destructible cell nagas. I don't know. So many stuff, so many things. But yeah, anyhow. When it comes to like Mupi's revenge, mineral patches need to be fixed. The third thing, he wanted to remove them all. I don't think that we will like green light that because that is like way too extreme. It will actually take away from like the category, from the map, and from the Team Blue map contest. It will make like everything look kind of bad, so we will probably won't be able to allow it. Positioning of bases, it is sick. It is like everything is like very well spaced. The ramps are like well sized. It's just in the same fashion that I was talking in the past about, for example, the stand and everything. I think this ramp in here will like benefit from having like a couple rocks, like a couple 6x6 or something like that. Let me place a couple just to see how they look. Yeah, something like that. It looks like kind of better. Everything like flows like slightly better, I think, when it comes to like army pathing and whatnot. But beyond that, it's actually like a pretty stick map. So I'm happy. The layout itself is like well executed. So I'm happy that we got the chance to like that it kind of made it to the final list. It is well executed, even with the turret. That kind of take away from the map. Hit me with Lotus. Okay. Okay, music. Oops, no. Hit me with Lotus. He wants to be hit so hard. He's a kinky boy, music. I still like that though. Hopefully the stream is like still alive. We have been like streaming for a good amount of time. Yeah, his stream is like green and everything. That's solid. Okay.
Like for a moment, it had some FPS drops, but it's pretty fine, yeah. Especially compared to last time.
Yeah, the last time was awful. At least, yeah, things are like working like good. Okay, music. Your clips fucking suck, dude. You need to like get some better natural clips in here.
Oh god, those cliffs, they hurt my eyes.
Yeah. Okay. Even then, it's like just slightly better, but not really. Anyhow, something like that. Not straight lifts. Like always try to avoid vertical lines. Like whenever you have like a vertical line in StarCraft, that is like cancer. So yeah, something like that. StarCraft with vertical line.
It kind of depends on the cliff type. Like
Yeah, yeah.
it looks so unnatural.
Yeah, like the only ones that can like kind of make it work and make it like look kind of good is like Jackie and maybe like RQM. Like everybody else like just fails at it. Me included. What
those
else?
map types, like the installation map types, where you have a low ground that's a natural texture and then mechanical texture on cliffs. I guess that's why
Yeah,
those
no.
are
Yeah, but
used to
I'm
be
talking
common
about
for a while.
yeah, but I'm talking about the natural cliffs only. Like doing cliffing just like with like straight cardinal lines such as the ones in this map. When you mix them with like natural cliffs, it just looks awful. So you can do, for example, a man-made stuff, a man-made cliff style with like cardinal light, with cardinal lines, with cardinal cliffs. But whatever, if you do them with like natural cliffs, it will look like god awful. So the only ones that I have seen that make the cardinal cliffs lines work with natural cliffs is like, as I was saying, is like Jackie or like maybe RQM. Everybody else like just like kind of sucks. I think it's just like an Asian thing. They just have like superior genetics for like cliff lines and whatnot, or maybe something like that. When it comes to this, oh yeah, the music was having some issues when with the with the minimap and the bridge like not showing up. So as a recommendation, just do this thing. Hide the doodads and you just paint it up with the sand texture. That way it will become highlighted. I'm not sure if you guys can see it. Probably it doesn't have like enough resolution. But the minimap, maybe I can take like no. This was a bad idea. Taking a screenshot while streaming, while doing everything else. No, the stuff might crash. So yeah, maybe you can see it.
Yeah, you're getting some pretty heavy FPS drops now.
Yeah, that was a bad idea. But yeah, use the Phaeton stand in order to like highlight the bridges and everything.
If you have a texture slot free, there's I think Mine of Sand. It's completely white texture. It's also really contrasting.
Yeah, but I think that just with the Phaeton might work. The the issue is that it doesn't have like a free slot texture. Maybe he could like replace another one, but that would like be like more extra work in like the little hours that there are left for the submission to end. So yeah, talking again about the actual map layout instead of like details. Good usage of the Overlord pod here. It probably, I think that you should replace that with rocks. Have some rocks in here instead. Make it even clearer that there is an Overlord pod in there. It is already like it already looks good. So what I'm telling is like kind of nitpicky, but make it clearer, like always. Third base, gold. Okay, it works. This works as well. This is a good open choke to a certain degree. You could get away with having like a couple 6x6 destructible debris in here, rocks in here, or maybe have it there. This is a trick question. This is always that I always think like sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It depends really in which direction you want to place the rocks in. And this is a very, very like meme detail of like map making. Because wherever you have like this kind of rocks, you need to think about the defender and the attacker army. Wherever an attacker, the rocks are positioned in this way, the army of the attacker will try to like let himself into like this little corner of here. And that way they can actually like they have like an easier time destroying the town hall or CC. Always wherever you are like for example watching VODs or watching a streamer or anything like that, try to notice this kind of army movements across the edges of the cliff lines from the player. They will always try to maximize their own like ability to like snipe town halls or whatever. So if you place the rocks in here, you are literally making it easier for the attacker player to destroy the town hall over if you place them like this. Because when I place it like this, even when the attacker army has like it still has like a relative position advantage over the defender. For example, let's say the defender army is like over here, and it starts moving towards the attacker. The attacker doesn't have like the capability to retreat very easily because the rocks are in there. So he won't be able to like overextend as much as he would be otherwise. So placing the rocks in this position, contrary to the opposite to the natural base, makes it easier for the defender. Placing them like this makes it easier for the attacker. That's the little tidbit, just to like put it out there. So wherever you guys want to have like a third that wants to be like more defensible, place the rocks away from the natural and away from the defensive like line. That way you will have like an easier time for your players defending that area. When it comes to the fort itself, again straight cliffs, but this area looks fine to me. It kind of reminds me a little bit of Mech Depot with the fourth, but like just a very small like reminiscence of it. Yeah, no, it looks fine. Same in here. Remember to place like a Phaeton sand at the bottom, so it can be like highlighted in the minimap. This area looks fine. This Selnaga is tricky to get, and it creates like some fun interactions with the rocks and everything. Terran doing some drops in order to gain control of the Selnagas. Zerg sending some Zerlings early game to take down the rocks and take control of the Selnaga. Protoss just getting fucked. No, just using the war prisms and whatnot to take control of the Selnaga. It's an interesting Selnaga in there. In the past, we used to have like Selnagas that will have like no ramps to access. So basically, only Terrans with Reapers will be able to take them, or Protoss with war prisms. That was some serious memes, but this is like a better implementation of kind of a similar idea of having like a semi-island Naga. When it comes to this, you don't have. I would like to say that this area will be rewarded seriously, but I'm not entirely sure that if we have the time or if we have the capabilities in order to like reward it. It is the same issue that, for example, I was saying previously that, for example, Namaste had, that the map was had too much height in comparison to like its width. To what is the name in English? Map bound.
I think this map is okay though, because the base is just pulled to the other edge of the map.
Yeah, yeah, this exactly is an issue with the symmetry type. The bases are like just too far in comparison to where the spawn positions are. And that creates a circle syndrome to a certain degree. For those that are still like kind of new, the circle syndrome is when the attacker has like a shortened time, a shorter distance from the bases of the defender than the defender has like a shorter distance from the bases of the attacker. The best way to explain it will be like, for example, imagine that you have like an army between your natural and third, and your opponent also has an army between his natural and third. You will have like an easier time attacking to a certain degree if your army, for example, tries to skirt around here, and you take this base. You will have an easier time attacking this base than your opponent will have like trying to defend his own base. This distance is shorter than this distance. And that means that this base is inherently like very precarious and very hard to take. So this base, wherever players end up taking these kind of bases, it always basically not always, but it has a preference to end in like
FPS is dropping.
yeah. No, don't worry about it. It is just it is in my PC, I think. But yeah, wherever that happens, whatever the distances between the bases between the opponent players and the defender is like too different. It can lead to base races and base trades, like overly so. And that's the circle syndrome. You can Google it or search it in Team Liquid. There is a Barrin made a thread like years and years ago and has like some very good explanations in there. So circle syndrome in Team Liquid. It usually happens with like a rotational symmetry map with the older one. But nowadays it is like far less of a problem because we are like more like understanding of what happens with the distance between players and between bases and all of that. But it is still like good to like always remind people that this kind of stuff happens, and even when it's not per se bad to have, for example, maps that end up in high amount of base trades, because the base trades by themselves are like some very exciting moments for like the player base. So, for example, the GSL map makers, the guys in Crook, used to like actually create maps with like a high amount of circle syndrome, and that way they will create like interesting scenarios for the GSL and whatnot. So yeah, that's basically it. I'm sorry, my brother got me like a little bit like confused, but yeah.
I still want to add something on this map.
Yeah, what do you want to add?
What I really noticed is a lot of dudettes on the map are moving Varine, so I think I'm a bit concerned about performance. I'm not sure if it's justified, but it just hints that this might not be alright.
Yeah, that's a very good point. But I'm not sure. The thing is that these doodads, the new legacy of the boy doodad, they actually aren't like too heavy like on frames or anything. It's like, to me it's like very surprising. I would expect them to be like more heavy. But I think that maybe if you have like an older PC for people, especially those that are trying to play in like a middle in middle settings, middle graphical settings, they always like they will strain a lot with all of the shadows that are being produced by these doodads. So yeah, that will be a good point. Maybe some of them should be replaced by the static ones instead. But I think that that's something that the actually this is one of the very key things that I think the quality assurance team in Blizzard does like better than I do, because I just don't have the tools that they have. They have supposedly.
Yeah, they have their complete room full of rigs and stuff.
Yeah, yeah, and not even like all of the computers that they have, but I mean it like they actually have like a couple tools where they can measure the amount of frames per second that are in like a certain area in the editor, so they can like just just leave the camera a moment in here and see if there is like a couple dudes that are being too straining in the GPU or the CPU, and just like reduce or remove those specifically, because they have like the tool to measure like frames per second and whatnot, and we don't. What else? There is the 3 best being cases rule that is very well applied. The mineral lines are like very well positioned. There isn't like too much space behind the main base that is solid. Sometimes you will might this is very like meta game dependent. Sometimes players really like to have like a considerable amount of space behind the main bases, and sometimes they just don't, and that really varies depending on the meta game. Like wherever, if for example Terran is abusing Medivacs too much, or Protoss is abusing Oracles too much, or stuff like that, then players like or dislike the amount of airspace. But it's always tricky to know beforehand when you are actually like making the games if the meta game will shift to like heavy Oracle usage or stuff like that. So it's not like something that I can blame you for having like too much or too little airspace. It's something like it's kind of just there, something that we need to like always keep in mind. And it kind of sucks, but it's just like, hey, what you gonna do? What else? When it comes to openness, the map is actually like very, very solid. I think that's it for the time being. This entire area is kind of icky, but I honestly like don't have like a very solid solution without like, for example, reworking then this entire area, because this entire area is like dependent on how the rest of the area works as well. So this area works for the macro area. They complement each other to a certain degree, even though when I'm not particularly happy with like the rocks and whatnot, that it's fine. It will work fine. Also always you gotta just give it credit to the music for like they do that usage. It looks like very, very good. So good job there, buddy. You did it. Congrats. You won the Team Blue. You won the do that usage. You defeated ICL, the dragon. Or Avex as well. No, Avex had some good maps, but
Avex is more of a texture guy, not really a do that person.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
Yuzu is pretty much the top when it comes to do that usage.
Yeah. That's a good difference. Yeah, good point in there. Like Avex loves to do like clusters of doodads, and he has like some very good eye to picking colors and use the clusters interestingly, but not creating like this kind of complex doodad things. Those is like more of a ICL or RQM or well, the music kind of stuff. RQM does some sick stuff. So yeah, no, I refrain what I said. Like I retreat. I avoid what I said. Forget what I said. Like you need to like defeat RQM, not ICL. RQM is the actual man when it comes to this. Still, good job. It looks like very good. Okay, what else map do you want me to review? Yeah, supposedly, Pharisee, they have a map analyzer capable of creating a heat map showing where FPS problems occur. Like, Zion blue ball us so hard, like a while, years and years ago. I'm still like blue balled by him, said telling us that he might be able to release the tool. Can you build on the wood bridges? Are lost custom bridges still fucked? Um, the music had some problems with the, yeah, this is something that I should probably also say in the stream. The music had some problems with the bridge itself, because he needed to decide if he could make the bridge not build or make the bridge not burrow, because you can't have both like no burrow and no building pathing paints at the same time. So I will. I think I'm not. I'm not. I'm not worried too much about it either way. Like the only thing that worries me it is, for example, if players borrow like an ultralisk and the model of the ultralisk can be seen from across the bottom of the bridge, something like that. That is like the only thing that worries me to a degree, because it will look buggy. So in order to fix that, well, that sucks. I don't know how to fix it. But yeah, in order to fix that, you will have to increase the height of this small little doodad some to at least until here. So that way, the bridge, like the wherever a unit is burrowed, it can't be seen over the edges of the bridge. And when it comes to not build, I also find I don't think that is like particularly too much of a problem. Maybe if there is like a graphical bug in here, whatever, for example, a building explodes or something like that, it could be problematic.
Yeah, always. Terran buildings appear underground first when they start building.
Yeah, stuff like that. But beyond that, like from a gameplay perspective, I don't think that there will be like any kind of issue with people building stuff in here. Like if a Terran builds a bunker, of a Protoss builds like some cannons behind the gold mineral line, I don't consider that to be like too much of a problem, like gameplay wise. Maybe graphical glitches and stuff like that. So if you want, I will recommend to like make it not build, but still allow burrowing. Oh yeah, and the line of sight and stuff like that. Because it is done with this little plug, like do that thing. You can increase the boosted cliff level. This is like very important thing. The boosted cliff level it is what makes or breaks the vision line in the game. So you can increase the boosted cliff level to 1 and have it be in the same terrain height as this one. At least that is what I recall. It's been like a couple of years since I played around with like cliff levels and whatnot. So yeah, it should work all right. And if it doesn't, there used to be a way to where you could hide cliffs. So you could create a cliff in the data editor. Maybe it might not open very well. I don't remember. I'm so sorry. Okay, terrain cliffs. Come on. Don't do this to me. Okay, there we go. Okay, so you have the cliff material and you have your cliff mesh. If I recall correctly, if you remove the material, or if you remove the mesh, then the entire cliff will become invisible. So you will have like jagged squares, like when you hide the terrain itself. Show hide. Okay. Then you will have like something like this along the edges of the cliff, just the terrain itself. And then you could hide the terrain itself, and units could still pass through it. It was like very interesting. this is a trick that Time Twister created like some years and years and years ago for a couple of maps that he made. And it is not something that that has ever like been used much because it is like so niche that it is not very usable even. But yeah, if something were to happen, something were to break, remember the trick that you can go to the cliff, to the terrain clip tab, select the cliff, and I don't remember if it's like you need to remove the mesh or you need to remove the material, one of these two. And when that happens, the cliff becomes invisible, and then you can do this kind of moves. Yeah, I think that's it. Good use it. Yeah, good thing that people haven't been forgetting very much of adding the inbuildable rock. So that's a good thing. Ramp is well sized. Yeah, no, the map is fine, dude. It's a solid finalist. The wooden plank. Yeah, I always assumed you could overlay them in each other. Any other map that you guys want me to review? I will still like.
I think -0 asked on Discord for Koningsberg.
For what?
It's on Discord. Negative mentioned the map.
Oh. Koningsberg. But this one is not a finalist, I think. I would prefer if like this entire bot like were just yeah it is. Or no. Or maybe. I don't remember. I don't remember. I don't remember the names. Yeah, it's a null maps. Yeah, no, I would prefer if this bot like were to be like just for the finalists, but I think that we can still like review this one. Oh yeah, the judges weren't like all too happy with this, especially with like the Overlord drop. Yeah, that's basically it. Like that's like just the extent of it. Like they said, like this thing won't work with like Overlord, and that's the end of that. It is still like a good meme though. I watch it work.
And did he also explain why?
What do you mean explain why? No, I mean it is just like there is like this like very like nasty queen overlord drop and the with roaches and sometimes with like sterlings and just like drops in general from ster can be like pretty nasty, especially when the main bases are like so close to each other. There is like literally no real way to defend it.
What if it was narrower, that outcrop?
If this entire area were narrower?
Yes.
Then probably it still won't work because it is like it is like an all or nothing strategy, and when you are like encouraging those kind of strategies in level design, you always end up like with worse overall games. Like that is just the thing. Oh no! I had like some candies in here, like I was sitting, but now they had like got some ants, a couple, and I need to hide them from the ants. But let me think. Yeah, no, that's just the extent of it. Like the center of it, it is like very superhuman-like mixed with like -0, and it looks sick. But this is like that's like just it. Anyhow, guys, I really need to like preserve my little candies, my little like snacks. So I will like cut it for like I don't know, like 3 minutes, and I will be back to doing like more stream things. Also, I really need to like rest my throat a little bit. Yeah, just if you guys need to take like a bathroom break or something, just do it now, and then we'll be back in like 5 minutes, probably less than that. But yeah, take care, guys. bum 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 ba-dum bum bum. Pudu 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 pudu. Bum 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 bada bum. This is a Oh, we have RQM. We have RQM in the chat. Hopefully you guys. Yeah, can you? Yeah, is the stream like even live still? Right, Mavis? You are my you are my savior. Is the stream like live, like with the music and that and everything? Yeah. No, don't worry. What else? Hey, hi RQM. Yeah. I don't know what time is in Korea. It has to be like 9 a.m. something like that. Like 7, between like 7 and 8. Between 7, between like 7 and something like that. They are like 12 hours from me, so I know that kind of thing. But yeah, good morning, QM. Okay, let's swap the little thingy thing. There we go. Okay, so they want me to review Königsberg? No, we already reviewed Königsberg. Like, it sucked. No, it was like it could be better. Oh no, I wanted to review the RQM map. Which is it? Crystalline Addiction, Category 1, Estasis. I don't remember the names. RQM, if you are in the chat, which one was your map? Yeah, it has to be like there one good RQM. I'm sorry, I don't know how to read either, okay? It is in the macro category. Okay, there we go. Yeah, I was looking. Yeah, I know. I know that it's automaton. Okay, I know it. It's like the good thick map that looks like very good. But I just it didn't like process in my brain. Like the name RQM with like. Yeah, but I'm talking about the letters themselves. Like the letters RQM, I'm always like used to reading in like cap, in like majusculas, in like the big letters instead of the smaller ones. So that name didn't process. Okay, please don't bully. Please don't bully. Okay, just remember the same thing that we said about the rocks in here. Well, the same thing applies now. If you move the rocks in here, then the entire thing will be like slightly safer because the defender can like actually advance and like. But yeah, RQM. If you want, I really don't want to like retrace like we spent like 20 minutes. No, not so much, but like 5 minutes talking about this. If you have your rocks in here, it is actually like more defensible than if the rocks are in here. Why did I hide that? Okay. Ugh. It's always the siege tanks, okay? So if you have the siege tanks and bunch of marines, whoa. Okay, if you have your siege tanks and a bunch of marines, oh right, I forget. I'll need to reduce the volume of the desktop. Hopefully it will be like. Oh no, I had it muted. Okay, there we go. Hopefully it isn't too loud again. But yeah, whenever you have your rocks in here, it allows for the attacker to snipe the dome hull or CC or hatchery more easily than if the rocks were here. Because if the attacker can't overextend as much, because they don't have a retreat path that is like actually clear. They need to retreat across here, and the attacker will be like around this area. So the attacker will be able to, the defender will be able to take down all of the units that are like overextended in this area more easily than otherwise. So rocks in here are more allowed for more easy defense of the third than rocks in here. That is just the line to like think about it. When it comes to this, it is like an excellently like solid map. There is even like not much that I can whine about. This natural choking point is well positioned. Probably the best being geysers. Probably you could have like a best being geyser in here, and still don't have to worry much about siege tanks, even when it is probably in range. Yeah, it is. But even then, I don't think that having like a single like Vespian Geyser be like exposed, it has like too much of a problem, at least in the current meta game for Legacy of the Void. And it gives you the benefit that, for example, certain players can like scout it slightly more easily. So yeah, this is like one of the changes that I would particularly suggest as feedback to this map. When it comes to this, oh yeah, when it comes to this, the RQM, if you can see, for example, in OBC and the observers, when they are casting game, the observers, the camera, can see farther than the player can. In this case, the players can only see until the blue line. Meanwhile, the camera from the observers can see farther than that. So if you want, for example, the observer's camera to have like good, pretty things to look at in this area, I will seriously recommend you to increase considerably the amount of doodads that you have placed around here. That way the map will like look better wherever it is like getting some games cast on by the observers and whatnot. Wherever the camera from the observer spans out at the top, then the stream and people will like see, oh, it is so pretty, and avoid like ending things like this way. Just continue it on, so just the observers and the stream can like have more like pretty things to look at. Extended do that. That's the thing. When it comes to spacing, it is like actually great. Like just many other finalists, like there is like not much that I can say. This ramp I particularly like. That is like two sides. It's a size of 2 instead of a size of 3, because it blends well into the whole idea with the stand and everything that we were talking about before. It allows for more. It encourages players to like spread out into the map, like at least some more, and like engage in different areas other than the main attack path. The little rocks in here, it is actually like a thing that I discussed with like RQM, because we were very concerned that, for example, Zerg players taking like proxy hatcheries in here and just like planting like some and mining from the gold minerals. It will be something like very niche, but that kind of niche thing can actually like ruin the map. You know what I mean? Whatever a strategy takes hold and becomes like the main strategy for a map forever, for like the next 3 months, or like at least a couple months, then the players just get tired of it and just like blank the map out and just veto it like to hell and back. So adding the rocks in here, it was a good overall like idea in order to address that.
Isn't that more a map rotation problem?
Yeah, but the thing is that we need to account for that whenever we're creating maps. We can't just like ignore, unquote, the realities of life under Blizzard. So we need to like account for that in our
Tyranny
maps.
of Blizzard, yes.
Yeah, like I wish my ideal will be to have a map pool that cycles like the ICC Cup or like the WCG Brood War map pools in a like way back, I don't know, in like 2013, 2008. And wherever you will have like a map pool of like a considerable amount of maps, like 10 to like 12 maps. And then you will have that map pool like cycle over itself for around, I don't know, like 2 to 3 months. And every single week you will have like a different set of like 7 different maps. So you will have like 7 different maps, like a map pool of 12, like 12 to 18, something like that. And then every single week you will have a different set of 7 maps to play on, something like that. I think that will be like work beautifully for StarCraft 2. But here we are. We have like the 7 maps that cycle every, I don't know, every season, every 2 seasons. But yeah, with the extra Team Liquid map contest nowadays, we are like doing better than in the past, where we had like maps last for years. What else? Overlord pods, probably. It will be something big to add here. RQM, if you aren't aware... Oh, too much noise. If RQM, if you aren't aware, these little Overlord pods can sometimes bug out. It is something that we were talking about earlier. Whenever you put an Overlord in here, and it isn't perfectly aligned, there are sometimes... I'm cutting myself too much here. Sometimes Marines the high ground itself bugs out, and Marines in the low ground can actually look at the Overlord and shoot it down from the low ground without vision in the high ground in here. And that is just...
Does it really though? Because I've never seen that.
Yeah, haven't happened to me while like playing my own maps that I did like without caring
sure
for this.
You didn't have it like on the cliff edge, because I
No.
think that's what most people are doing. Like they misplace it slightly on the edge or something, and not in the exact center.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
Very
But
tiny
even
spot
then,
that is only safe.
yeah, no, I agree with that. I agree with that. Usually it's in the very center when it is safe, but in the edge it can be like 50-50, whatever you can see up the high ground or not. But the problem is that whenever you place doodads on top of it, then you can't. Basically, it becomes like considerably harder to tell if it's in the center or not. And that is when it becomes like a serious kind of issue. So in order to fix this, I always recommend to add like invisible line of sight blocker around the little thing. Something like that. And then on top of it, you add like pathing paint around it in order to avoid the line of sight blockers to becoming activated by the units around them. So that basically fixes permanently the issue with the clip. Teammate doesn't like to do it. He tells me that I am insane, and I think I am insane as well. But at least my overlords, the overlords on my maps, aren't dying randomly wherever like a marine walks by.
Either. I think I'll just rather have a clear indication of what the center is, so that players can properly place it.
Yeah. That's if you want to do that, that's like feel free, because I think it can be like problematic, not like hugely. Well, it depends on the situation. Like if your last overlord, or just in time that overlord got killed and you got like supply blocked by 30 seconds, and you died because of it, then yeah, it become a problem. But I don't know. Anyhow, I will recommend to add like at least a couple extra overlord pod. Just a couple. I'm not even sure if we should place it one in here, but adding a couple overlord pods might be beneficial, because even when it has like the ones in the center, there aren't any around this area. So you could add maybe one in here, or maybe one in here, or maybe one around this area. It's really up to you, RQM, wherever you want to place them, because overlords usually need to take a route between different overlord spots, from this one to this one, and from this one to this one, because that way they are reducing the amount of time that they are exposed to, for example, marines roaming the map. And that is something that can skew the balance of the map, like to one race or another. It is just like the summatory of the little details like that. Overall, there is like really not much that I can whine about. One thing though, one thing that I can whine about, and I will, is that every single ramp wasn't done properly. For every single ramp, you need to add pathing paint. For all of them. Like this. For every single little ramp. So that way your
make
units...
sure to also cut the thing at the top so you can actually wall it.
Yep, exactly.
This
is also like a permanent issue whenever we're using the do that ramp, because the do that ramps create like this kind of things. Whenever we are trying to fix the pathing problems caused by the do that ramps, then we end up creating these scenarios, and this as well needs to be like this. Need to be like this. This is very, very bad. This is good. Because whenever...
Yeah, that's a classical example.
Yeah, whenever this situation happens, then you are creating an area where players can't wall off correctly, properly. And that's like very complex to deal with for the players. And it really like strains the map itself. Like it's like problematic. It's like a classical quality assurance thing that we all need to like be very careful on. Because Terrans just won't be able to... This is another area. But it's like such a careful balance. It is always the same thing. Because otherwise, if you have it like this, and you don't place your ramp properly, then whenever you send probes around, the probes will like jump on top of here. Because the probes inherit the height of the doodad wherever they are pathing. So they just jump on top of this, and it looks like incredibly buggy. But at the same time, we really need to like be careful with like building with these areas for like walls and stuff. I when I was doing quality assurance, I tried to fix it because RQM like actually forgot to like place the ramp properly, like in many of them. But yeah, this is something that we all need to be very careful on because it happens a lot. And sometimes it is like just better to not use the do that ramp. Just because of that. It makes that our lives like so much harder. They look so nice as well, so it is kind of sad. What else? There is a good spot in here to place overlords, gameplay wise. This mineral, it will work fine. It will work fine. Usually, as I was saying in like previous maps, it is usually better to have like this kind of mineral lines, like diagonal ones, in here instead of mineral lines that are cardinal, because the cardinal mineral lines don't have the little spots to micro workers and to stack them wherever a player gets like attacked by a 13-12 pool or something like that. Oh, RQM, you might want to implement the standard mineral lines, but I'm not sure. For this particular situation, for this particular map, I'm not sure, because I already like encouraged and gave us feedback that this Vespian geyser that was here should be placed here, and this Vespian geyser, it is already on siege tank range. So if we were to move this mineral line a little bit more, this might get spooky with the siege tank. It might get like too exposed, but I still think that it will be like fine. It will be alright, but it is like less ideal. So it's still try to implement this mineral line with a small little correction in here. That way you will have like two spots for where players can like do workers stack in the natural base, and that's always beneficial because it allows players for more easier defense of their bases in the early game. or maybe even wherever there is like some random drop and players need to like do worker stacking in order to like defend the mineral like better, then they can do that. It is always like a good thing to have in general. What else? There is really not much. It's like a solid, like standardish macro-ish map. Not even like so macro-ish in my opinion, but it's still like it fits inside the category.
I mean, I have some complaints, but
Like which ones?
Too hard to the layout. Like you'd have to dig too deep into the layout to fix that.
Like which ones?
Like, I don't like how much the main is exposed to air. Like it makes mech play really tough.
It makes mech play. Come on, dude. It makes mech play like too tough. Like what? I think that I'm probably too stuck in my old ways from like Heart of the Swarm or something like that. But like hearing that is like, it makes mech play too hard to play on. This is what Avila will say.
Stretches. No, seriously, you stretched the mech player really far apart like that.
Yeah. Like
But
I don't disagree.
I don't think you can fix it. Like the map is like it is now, and if you were to change it, you'd have to change the entire map around.
Yeah,
That's
and
really
it is just
complaint.
it is this type of layout with like this main positioning more than anything else. It is not like just the map itself, but it's like having these mains be like kind of towards the middle-ish instead of the corners, of very close to the corners. That is what creates the problem. But even then, like I think this is for like a map that uses like this kind of main base positioning. It is still like it pulls it off comparatively to what it could be. Oh, also probably add a Reaper jump pad in here for Reapers. Yeah, I think that's all. There is the criticism from Meavis. Also, if anybody is like in the Twitch chat and like wants to jump into like Discord to like talk in mic, I will be happy to. Yeah, aesthetically, yeah, the gears look so good. They look just so good. Look at them. Look at them. Not this one. It looks like kind of weird, but these ones. It is incredible. I didn't even knew that we had gears like this. Mavis, do you know when they add them? Oh, also this one.
I don't know. I haven't actually seen them myself before.
And not only that, but like RQM like literally synchronized the rotation of this freaking thing with the gears themselves. Oh, it's so sick. Look, they're rotating at basically the same speed. Yeah, this one has a rotation.
Oh, you mean the flying machine?
Yeah.
Machine, yeah.
The flying machine is like synchronized.
Like my stream is delayed a bit.
With the gear. Like that's incredible. Like congrats. I don't know what to say.
How does he find this stuff out?
The gears? I don't know. The flying machine is like always been
like,
there.
How they match the same speed?
I don't know. Like you can edit the animation speed. Let me check it out. Game data. Where are actors? Okay. Okay, what is the name of the doodad? Floor interior gadget. Come on. It is like the most hidden name. Jet like this. There we go. Oh, he didn't even edit the. What? They are like synchronized beforehand? I didn't knew this. Like what I have in the past, I have used like this doodad, the gadget, the flying machine, and it's always such a freaking pain to like rotate them and like make them be in a specific position or rotation because they have like an embed animation. So yeah, I don't know. I thought that RQM had actually like synchronized the gears with the flying machine, and I was like so happy for that. But now it's like everything is just lame. Everything is just lame, dude. No, no, no. Okay, no, no. Forget it. No,
I
the
mean,
map,
it's
the
pretty
map.
good
No,
that
no,
you
the map
found
is
out and
trash
picked
now.
up.
The map is just like standard trash. That's so mean. No, anyhow, it looks like freaking great. But I thought it was like hype level, like TL Liquid map contest first levels of hype. Okay, but no, that is just like Team Liquid map contest finalist level 2. Okay, something like that.
I think he used gears in just the right amount. Like, I don't think he should add more because then they only have one variety. I think, do they?
Yeah,
And
I
like,
think so.
if you place it all over, then it just becomes a